Good morning, students. How are you all doing? I'm sure you all would have had a great Diwali. So let us restart after maybe a break. You all would have had much desired, much deserved break. So yes, beta, thank you. Same here. It is same to see you all once again. And let us try to add more value to our concepts and logic. So students, let us start again. Anybody recalls what we did in the previous lecture? Or has Diwali erased everything from your memories? Great. So Pranav is still there. He says, sir, yes, I recall. Cost accounting, even Hardik. So do others also recall that we were discussing cost accounting in our previous session, whatever we had? Now, if you all recall, there was one part which was left out, and I had agreed and promised that we'll cover up that part also. That is the part relating to the next aspect in cost accounting, which is reconciliation. Yes, you are correct. So we did cost accounting. In cost accounting, we studied two methods of cost accounting. They are called as integrated, non-integrated accounting. We did journal entries. We also prepared ledger accounts. So I'll request everyone to please share your questions, doubts, if any, on this topic, so that once it is taken care of, yes, Vaishnavi, so we can proceed with the next part, that is reconciliation. So firstly, as usual, we'll take up your doubts, your queries. If anybody has any particular query, doubt in cost accounting, please let me know, students. Anybody wants me to explain anything? Anybody while solving had any particular doubt? Let me know, please. Yes, Hardik, Akshara, Amit, Anjali. Okay, somebody has raised hand. I'll mute.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Hardik, beta.
Sir, I have a doubt in question number 3.
Question
Sir,
number 3 of my sheet.
yes, sir. In a
Okay.
few transactions, I had a doubt. Sir, first one is, sir, factory over administrative overheads charged to production. Sir, so this means that administration overheads will be charged to work in progress control account.
Where is it, beta?
Sir, question number 3.
Yeah, this is question number 3, na?
No, sir, non-integrated.
No, you are talking from the sheet which I have shared, or you are talking about
Yes,
something
sir,
else?
sheet.
1 second. This is more.
Sir, this.
Yes.
There
Okay.
in this factory overhead administration overheads charged to production. So, sir, we will
Hmm.
charge it to work in progress control account.
Yes. So whenever the question specifically says administration overheads charged to production, then it is more appropriate to charge it to WIP. Now, before I explain this, I want to ask one thing. Have you all studied cost sheet?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now see, if you all remember the cost sheet format, we have direct material, direct labor, direct expense, which makes up the prime cost.
Prime
Correct,
cost.
students?
Yes, sir.
After that, chalo, you all tell me if you all remember.
After that, a factory overhead, sir.
Yes, factory overheads
Then,
or
sir,
works overheads or works on cost. These are the technical names, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Then what you get?
Sir, we will get gross factory overheads. Then, sir, we
Yes.
will adjust the opening and the closing work in
Okay.
progress account,
One
and then we
second.
will
So
get net.
I'll not put that gross. I'll directly take the net. It's fine, na?
Yes, sir.
So plus opening less closing
Closing.
Fine. What you get?
Sir, net factory overheads.
Okay. Factory
Uh,
costs, not overheads.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. Factory
Factory
cost.
costs or works cost. Fine. Then,
Sir, then we will charge administration overheads.
okay. Administration overheads. Then,
And sir, we will adjust the cost, opening
no. So you get cost of production,
cost of production, then
then
opening
opening finished goods,
and closing finished.
closing finished goods. Yes, Vaishnavi is also giving good. One more point she has added that if there is any scrap value, so we will
We will
adjust the scrap value here.
see.
Correct now, Vaishnavi? So this is
Later.
the factory that is arising in, this is the scrap that is arising in factory. Acha, have you all done process costing also?
No, sir.
Okay, in process costing, you'll study this, that this is what the scrap value we are adjusting over here. In process costing also, we are adjusting in the process account. Fine. Okay. So it means everybody is on page, everybody is remembering this, right? Now, Hardik, go ahead after this.
And sir, after this, we will have a cost of sales.
COGS, yes, cost of goods sold.
And
To
sir,
that you add selling
profit,
and distribution.
selling and distribution cost, then cost of sales, and then some profit, and we will sell it in the market.
Yes. Now see, Vaishnavi has again added one more point. See, this administration overheads may be added either here, correct?
Sir,
Or
that would
there is one more possibility. Yes,
sir,
Hardik.
that would be in relation to production. If we are adding after that, it would be a general overhead.
So if it is related to production, where do we add?
Sir, in factory one.
So where we have added right now, correct? Na?
Yes, sir.
So if this is related to production, so I will say administration overheads related to production, right? And if it is not related to production, that is if it is general, then
Then, sir, after uh, adjusting this opening and closing finished goods, we will
no,
add with.
I think it will be added here. Na?
Oh, sorry, sir. COGS after COGS. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sorry, sorry.
general administration and selling, and then you get your COS, correct?
Yes, sir.
So these are the two variations possible when it comes to administration overheads, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, please understand this. If it is administration which is related to production, we charge it after factory cost, right? Now link it with your cost accounts. So this is your WIP account, this is your FG account, and this is your COS account. Now see students, if you all remember cost sheet, now you'll understand the cost accounts much better. And now I'll try to establish a linkage between the cost sheet and the cost accounts. See, many times when we study these topics independently, we feel we are studying different things. How can in the same subject two things be different? So now I'll try to connect this with, means I'm trying to connect both these topics, right? So now we all know that here you have opening WIP. Here you get material which is coming from SLC. You have labor which is coming from LCC. You have production overheads which is coming from production overheads control. Correct, students? You all remember this, no?
Yes, sir.
Please be with me.
Yes,
This
sir.
is what is very, very important point what I'm trying to explain. So please be with me. And if
Sir.
anybody has any doubts, please confirm. Now, whatever is the finished goods that is produced, it is transferred from here to finished goods control, that is here. So here you get to WIPC, right? And then you have the closing WIP, and this is the closure of this account, right, students? Everybody recalls this? Now, here you have opening finished goods. Here you charge administration overheads. Here, whatever goods are sold is transferred to COS, that is from here to here. And you have closing FG, right? Correct na, Hardik? Have you gone on mute? Okay. Now, this is what cost accounts we studied, students. Now I will try to link it with the cost sheet that I have already mentioned on the left side. Now, in this cost sheet, please understand that when I'm preparing cost accounts, 1 second, Sai says after COGS, while adding selling and administration expenses, whether we have to take portion of expenses relating to entire goods. Okay, Sai, good question. Allow me some time to answer you. In fact, that is something which you all will answer rather than me, but good question. Just allow me 2 minutes. Now, students, we understood the accounting entries, right? These are the accounting entries that we studied. We solved sums. Now the point is, what is this amount? Yes, we transferred it to finished goods. And if you remember, I had explained that WIP is the factory account. FGC is your which account? Go down. And this is your customer. This was just for easy remembrance of entries and understanding and remembering the entries. Now, I said that whatever finished goods are produced, whenever the sum says finished goods produced, finished goods completed, it will go from factory to go down, because until it is under production, it is in factory, and once the production is complete, it will go down. But what does this represents in terms of your cost sheet? In terms of cost sheet, this amount represents this amount. So this is your factory cost. Now I write over here factory cost. So we have reached here. In the WIP account, the amount which is transferred to finished goods is this account. And you can very well connect it. See, debit is direct material, direct labor, direct expense, if any, production overheads. All this is debit. Then you add opening WIP, which is also debit. You less closing WIP, which is credit. So effectively, this net amount, which you are showing as a journal entry, being transferred from WIP to FG, is in terms of cost sheet representing the factory cost. So what has come over here is the factory cost or works cost. Then if there is any administration overheads which is related to production, it is charged here. Mathematically, these two figures becomes your cost of production. Now in this, you have added opening, so that is what is debited. You have subtracted closing, that is what is credited. So you get this figure, which represents in the language of cost sheet, the cost of goods sold. So this is the figure which I am transferring from my finished goods account to my COS account. And to this cost, we are adding the selling overheads. Now, if you remember, in 1 or 2 questions, there were entries which were saying selling and administration, if you remember. So there are 1 or 2 sums where they have not given administration separately. They have mentioned selling and administration, because in that case, that administration is the one which is the general administration. So that also gets added over here. And then this total on the debit side is what is your COS figure here. And this figure, if you all remember, we transfer to our cost P&L account, which is the COS. Are you all getting this, students? Now, are you able to connect both these things? See, now when you connect, like when you go to process costing account, you'll understand that process costing, even though you study separately, it can be connected with this chapter also, because again, it is part of cost accounts only. Though right now you cannot see any process account over here, but just I'll inform you, whenever you study this, your process accounts that you are going to study is the WIP account here. And if you just remember this, you will find that all the entries that you are going to make in process accounts are nothing but these entries only. The only additional point that you will get process in the process account, which is not here, is where there are losses also, that entries are also there. That's it. Now, if this is clear, students, because this is the most important conceptual part, which I want you all to understand, so that, see, when you start understanding any topic from this depth, now whatever be the type of question that comes to you, I can assure you, you all will be able to handle it much effectively, because now you are able to connect different topics. Is this fine, students? Everybody has understood this up to this point? If anybody is new today, if the person, he or she was not present in earlier chapters, I'll request that you all please go and check those topics so that it will be easy for you to connect with what I'm saying. So don't worry, even if you are not able to connect, if you have not attended the previous lectures, that is fine. See whatever I have explained now. And then when you go to those chapters like cost sheet process, try to connect with that. You'll understand it. Now, Hardik, I will answer your question. Now, Hardik has raised a point that in our sum itself, there is one entry which says administration overheads. I'll just read for everybody's benefit. So in this, it is said that administration overheads charged to production. Now, when they are saying charge to production, where the entry should be, whether we should pass the entry in WIP account, that is his question, or whether we should still put it here. So here, but I personally feel that you should not change the account. You should keep it in the finished goods account only, because in fact, what we are charging over here, administration overheads, even if not mentioned in the question, it is administration related to production only, because if it is general administration, it should be charged here like you would have found in some of the sums where they have given selling and administration. So that is what is the general administration. Where it is not given anything, even in cost sheet, we assume it is administration related to production, which we add after factory cost. And if you see in the journal entries here, what you have got is the factory cost only. And after that, if you want to add anything, it has to be added here. So I believe that the correct approach of answering this is you should debit it to the finished goods account only. ठीक है बेटा हार्दिक? Though yes, I understand maybe there may be some notes or this material which may charge it to WIP, but if you understand it in totality, in connection with cost sheet, I'm sure you'll agree that it should come here. Yes, beta, y'all can take screenshots. I'll just, now y'all can take the screenshot. Everybody understood the connection between the various topics? Fine, students? Any further questions? Anybody? No questions? Then should I take ahead my today's deliberation? So we discussed, students, cost accounting. We were discussing. Okay, Hardik has a question. 1 second, I'll unmute you, beta.
Sir, I
Yes.
don't have any question, but I wanted to tell that I have also done the same thing. But sir, in one of the books, I saw that it was a charge to different account. That's why I was getting confused.
Yeah, I already mentioned this, Hardik.
Yes, sir.
I mentioned this that in some books, in some notes, maybe you will find this, but that is okay. See, let us understand and appreciate one thing at professional level. There are different views in taxation. As you will go ahead, you will find maybe not at inter level, but definitely in your articleship and later on in the final syllabus, that for the same question, even our module, even our exams answer say alternative view. Because see,
Yes, sir.
when we are at professional level, na, that is the beauty of profession, because profession is purely dependent on in-depth knowledge of anything in whatever you are professing, whether in the legal field, medical field, or our field. Now, when you are going in depth, like even in case of doctors, I'll give you a simple example. When you go to different doctors for the same thing with the same reports, different doctors may give different views. Somebody will say, no, you should compulsorily and urgently get operated. Somebody will say, no, maybe with this pills and with this particular schedule, you may get cured. Somebody will say, don't do anything, just do certain exercises and take these precautions, you'll get cured. So there are different positions that come out from the same facts, and that is the beauty of profession. So beta, it is okay, don't worry for that. At such times I always request students that whenever it comes to you at this point, that
Yes,
is
sir.
when you are giving exams, the best thing you should do is go to our past exam material. In one of the sums of the past exam, you'll find that, and whatever our module or our exam problems are doing, follow that approach. Second, let us say you don't know what is that, because maybe you may not have come across any such question or no such question has come. So solve this and put a note below that ki there is another alternative view that this can be charged even to the WIP account.
Okay,
Simple.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Perfect, beta. Chalo. Acha, I've shared the correct sheet, na? This is the sheet you all are having, right? Chalo then. Now let me take you to the next part of this chapter, which is actually a different chapter and different concept altogether, but it is clubbed with this chapter, so we'll study that. Now the name of this part is reconciliation, right? Okay, Srini, you want your query to be answered now? Okay, fine, I'll explain. Now Srini's query is, Srini has asked a very good question. Is sir, after COGS, while adding selling and administration expenses or selling and distribution expenses, which we normally add, whether we have to take the portion of expenses relating to entire goods or only the expenses relating to the portion of goods sold. So I'll explain you all the query first so that you all should be answering this, not me. So Shreni's query is relating to this only what I just explained. So he's saying that this selling administration, which we are charging over here, selling and distribution or selling and administration. Now, you all will understand that these quantity of production, let us say is 1 lakh units. But after adjusting the quantity of stocks, the quantity of goods sold, let us say comes to 90,000. I'm sure in your cost sheet sums, you all would have come across such a scenario where after adjusting the quantity of stocks, the quantity of goods sold is different from the quantity of production. That is logical, that is mathematical. Now his question is, sir, when we are charging this selling and distribution or selling and administration, then whether it has to be related to quantity sold or quantity produced. So I'll request all to put your answers. You can write sold or produce. This is the manner in which I want your answer. You may write sold, you may write produced. So I already have two answers, one by Pranav, one by Hardik. Others, just put either sold or produced. I hope everybody understood Srini's question. That the selling and distribution or selling and administration, whenever we charge, whether it should be related to, it should be charged on the basis of produced quantity or sold quantity. Superb. Excellent. Shweta, Hasi, Hardik, Mahalakshmi, Ritika, Sai, Vaidahi, Sukhveer, Kasak, Hardik, Pranav. Superb. Vaishnavi and Akshara, no. Anjali, right. Shweta, Bhavna, I think you mean to say sold. Correct. So see, students, the answer is, since you are charging the expenses, see, your answer is very simple. See just the location of that particular cost. That particular cost, where it is located after COGS. So after the COGS, you are having these expenses. Now, if these expenses are added after COGS, so logically, right now where we are standing in cost sheet, we are having this quantity in cost sheet, which in my example is 90,000. So by default, thereafter, whatever expenses you will charge, that will be for 90,000. Now, please understand, a corollary to this is that whatever expenses I have charged up to this stage, that is the stage of COP, cost of production, up to this stage, whatever expenses I have charged, like here I have charged administration overheads. I just rub out these markings so that it is visible. Yes. So here I have charged before this COP, I have charged admin, I have charged factory or works overheads, I have charged direct material, direct labor, direct expense. So all these items which I have charged before COP, please remember students, these items are charged for 1 lakh units. So this is the corollary of what we are discussing. So expenses which are charged before COP, they will be charged for the units produced. Expenses which are charged after COGS will be charged, like in this case, these two expenses will be charged on the basis of quantity sold. I hope this is clear to all. Srini, I hope you got your question, beta. Good. So now we have to deal with the next part, that is reconciliation. So students, now again, I want inputs from your side. Again, Sai has a follow-up question, sir. Then relate the same with product cost, period cost, and expired, unexpired cost. Okay, but so ask your question, na? You can relate this with anything in costing, but ask your question. Maybe if you want, I'll unmute you. You ask your question so that I can answer you in depth relating to your question. Yes, students. Now, I'm sure everybody would have seen reconciliation. My query to y'all is, what is reconciliation? If anybody can help me understand, or whatever y'all have understood in reconciliation till date. I'm not limiting myself to this chapter. I'm saying till date, whatever y'all have understood in this topic of reconciliation, please tell me. Matching transactions. Okay, balancing two sides. RICO means cash book, bank passbook transactions. Okay, matching, checking. Super. So you all are correct. So basically reconciliation is what? When for the same data, you have entries in two different set of books. Now this set of books may be either your books and the other party's books. Like first example of reconciliation is bank reconciliation. Second example of reconciliation, which you may not have solved till now, but definitely when you are doing your articleship, you'll come across that. That is reconciliation with your debtors and with your creditors. So when you are transacting with some other company, with some other party, they are passing entries in their books relating to you. You are passing entries in your books relating to that party. Now, it may happen that they are showing outstanding balance with you of rupees 2 lakhs. You are showing outstanding balance with them of rupees 2 lakh 20,000. So the question is, why is there a difference? So basically, reconciliation means comparison, matching, finding out difference. Whatever you all have explained is correct. But why or when this is done? When the same transactions are posted in two different books. The two different books can be your book and the bank book. That is what we did in BRS, bank reconciliation, or your books and your other counterparty, who is your debtor, creditor, etc. That party's books, because the transactions are same, the balances should be same. Now, if these balances are showing difference, we need to find out by comparison, by matching, why the difference is and what the difference is, so that necessary corrective actions can be taken. Fine. Now
Sir,
in this, yes.
sorry for disturbance, sir. In between, I stopped you.
Okay, tell
Sorry,
me now.
sir.
Go
In
ahead.
between, I stopped you, sir. That my question, earlier question, in product cost, we are adding entire admin expenses and selling expenses to the goods sold. We are adding, sir. That's why I asked you to explain that product cost and period cost concept also relating to this.
So beta, I was not able to understand your question. So that time only
No,
I
no.
said that if you want, I'll
Please tell
unmute you.
me what is product cost and period cost, sir. Then I can relate both of them. That only I'm asking. What is
Okay.
how to calculate period cost and how to calculate product cost? That
Okay.
only I'm asking.
So remain on unmute. Don't mute yourself. Now listen to me.
Okay.
Students, what is product cost? What is period cost? In costing, when you are charging, chalo, I'll go back to the same point so that it will be easy for you all to understand and connect. Now see, we have just studied the cost account. So this is fresh. Now we have our material account, which is the SLC. We have the labor account, which is LCC. We have all the overheads accounts. Now, when you incur expenses, you debit these accounts, and then you are charging expense to your WIP, or maybe some expenses you are charging to FG, some expenses you are charging to COS. Now, if you all remember, these accounts, WIP, FG, COS, these accounts are your product accounts. If you all remember, I had explained it like this. And after COS, below COS, you have the last account in your series is cost P&L. Now, please understand everyone that there is a concept in costing called as product cost, period cost. What is this concept? In costing, whatever expenses like material, labor, production overheads, administration overheads, selling overheads, you are charging to your products in any of the account, either WIP or FG or COS. Whatever you charge to the product is termed as product cost. Now, whatever you don't charge to your product or whatever does not get charged to your product, the balance is at the end transferred to cost P&L. Like in some of the journal entries, you'll find that this selling and distribution, which is many times given as selling and administration, is not given as charge to the product. Then at the end, it gets debited here. Now, such costs which are not charged to the product, but since these are all nominal accounts, you have to close these accounts. All expenses are nominal except SLC because that represents stock. So whatever are these nominal accounts, at the end of the period, you have to close this. And how do you close this? Whatever is the balance in these nominal accounts is transferred to the P&L account, which is always for the year ended, that is for a period. So whatever expenses you are not charging to your products, those expenses at the end of the period will get transferred to P&L so that those nominal expense account gets closed. So whatever expense will get charged to the P&L will be called as period cost because P&L is always drawn for a particular period. Srini, now tell me what is your doubt further in this. Have you understood?
Oh, this here after COGS, it was told that only sold goods expenses were to be added like that in cost sheet. It was told. So
Correct.
here in
So I
product
repeated the
cost
same,
and
na? I also mentioned the same, na? You will
oh,
charge only
that is
sold
okay, sir.
expenses.
Here product cost and period cost also same concept, sir. I'm asking.
See, beta, don't mix those. I'll explain. See, how you charge, whether you charge to 1 lakh or whether you charge to 90,000, that depends upon how you have calculated your ORR. You remember ORR, overhead recovery rate, which we studied in overhead chapter?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now, if the overhead recovery rate is calculated on the basis of machine hours, you charge using machine hours. If it is calculated on the basis of units, you charge on the basis of units. Within units, you have option of calculating it on the basis of production units or selling units. So on the basis of whatever you have calculated the ORR, like production units or selling units, while charging, you will charge it using the same basis, right? Now, when I have charged using this basis, some amount gets charged here. At the end, I will get either some under absorption or over absorption. This will happen in every overheads account, whatever is the basis. Even if you have
Yes,
taken
sir.
this as the basis, there would be some difference. Even if you have taken this as the basis, or labor hours as the basis, or machine hours as the basis, there has to be a difference in overheads. Correct?
Okay. Okay.
So that difference again, we transfer it to P&L, again, which you can say as good as becomes your period cost. So beta concept samjho, conceptually period costs are those expenses which are not getting charged to the product, right?
Okay. So this 10,000 items cost will be transferred to next year in
No,
period
beta,
cost.
it is not 10,000 items cost. Please
No,
understand
for
this.
example, I'm telling, sir. For example, I'm telling. Here, above example, 10,000 items are there, na? 90,000, 1 lakh difference, sir. That I'm telling. It will go to period cost or product cost. That only I must.
So that's what I'm saying, beta. See, selling distribution overheads, you incurred X amount, whatever is the
Yes,
amount. Then
yes, sir.
you have selected the basis as sale units, but this is not compulsory. If you remember my overhead chapter explanation, I had explained that you select the basis. You have selected sales units, so you are dividing it by sales unit. If you would have selected some other basis, you would have divided by that basis, and using that ORR, you would have charged here, which will always be a different amount. So let me call it as Y. See, even if you have selected 1 lakh basis, you will never here get X only. You will always get a different figure. Please
Okay,
understand. So
okay,
you
okay.
cannot say it is the expenses relating to 10,000. It is just the difference which will always arise because of the ORR concept, because ORR is calculated at the start of the year using some estimates. Am I clear, beta?
Okay, sir.
Perfect. So
Okay,
please understand this. Don't say that it is expenses of 10,000 units because then the meaning will change. Because if it is expenses of 10,000, it should be carried forward. But that is not the case. It is not the expenses of 10,000. It is the difference in that account which will compulsorily arise whatever base you select. Even if you would have selected 1 lakh units as the base, that is the production units as the base, and charge using 1 lakh units, still there would have been difference. This is what I want to say. Am I clear, beta?
Yes, sir.
Superb. Student, just give me a minute. There is a ring on my doorstep. Okay. I hope everybody is clear with this. Sai, I hope you're also clear. Chalo. Now let me take you to the present concept what we are discussing. Tambeshwari, hope my voice is audible. Others, I hope my voice is audible. Okay. Students, now remember and understand that in reconciliation, what we are doing is we are trying to match and compare the entries of two different set of books, which in earlier subjects were two different people, two different corporates, companies. Here, it is the two different set of books or two different records. Let me not use the word books only, two different records maintained by the same company. So it is me only, company Vishal Podar Limited, let us say VGP Limited. So it is same company. In my company, I am preparing financial books or records. No, site is not two cost accounting system. Okay, you can say two cost accounting system, but one is the financial and the other is the cost records. Now, when I say cost records, it can be with cost ledger or it can be with cost sheet because records includes everything. Now, what is to be compared here is that when you are preparing financial books, you prepare your trading P&L account where at the end you get some net profit. And at the same time, in your cost sheet also at the end, you are getting some net profit. Now, when you get the net profit, here also for the same company, for the same year, it should be same. But again, practically, it will never be same. Reason is, both these records, both these set of books are prepared using different principles, different accounting assumptions, accounting rules, accounting conventions. And that is why these two books will never match, will never show the same figure of profit or loss. Now, when the same person for the same year having two different records prepared show two different profits, then obviously, logically, that person would just want to assure itself that firstly, both my books are showing correct profits, though they are different. And second, I would like to know what are the reasons for differences in the two set of books when both belong to me for the same financial year. So with this purpose of understanding, one, confirming that both set are showing the correct figures in their respective systems, and two, if both are correct, then what is creating the difference? To understand this, we do reconciliation. In any case, whether it is BRS, whether it is your, as I said, debtors reconciliation, or here you are doing your profit reconciliation. Right, students? Now, let me first give you the list or the illustrative cases of why these two records will have difference. First reason is expenses. As we all know, financial books will always record actual expenses after they have been incurred, and your cost sheet is always recording the expenses which are charged. Like I was just explaining, Sai, we use the ORR, we use the charging rate. See, charging rate, whatever gives you the figure, is always the figure which is not or never going to match with your actual, because actually, you know, after it is incurred, charge you have to do even before the production has started, or at the time when you are quoting to some particular vendor or any query or any this quotation you have to submit for any tender. At that time you are computing these expenses. So as we all have studied right from the start, in cost sheet we are charging, yes, correct, we are charging the expenses using these estimated rates. Right, Kasat, this is the perfect word. Now in this particular case, the first reason why both these set of records will show different figures of profits is, here in P&L, the amount debited is different, and in cost sheet, the amount charged. Same thing. In both cases, you are taking expenses only, but different values. Second reason is valuation of stock. Now, again, please understand, on the basis of first, the second difference also arises. How? Now here in my financial P&L, I have taken actual expenses. So obviously the stocks which I am having, either opening or closing, they are valued on the basis of actual. Because in my financial books, I am only recording actual costs. There is no concept of charging or estimate. All your financial books, whatever 11 standard till date entries you have passed or you are passing, are always taking figures post facto. That is, after that fact has happened, after that transaction has happened. So always the figures are actual. In costing, when we are charging expenses, charging is done before, which is on estimated basis using estimated rates. In this particular case, if I have taken actual cost in financial, the stock values, opening stock value, closing stock value, whenever I have computed, are computed taking actual figures. Whereas in financial, in cost records, since I'm charging or I'm considering the estimated cost, estimated expenses, when I'm doing my stock valuation, these stocks will also be valued taking those estimated costs. So definitely there will be some under or over valuation difference. One of the stocks would be more and one of the stocks would be less. So that is where we will say that it is undervaluation in one of the records or overvaluation in one of the records. This is the second reason. And then the third reason is treatment of certain items. What is this third reason, treatment of certain items? There are certain items, items means transactions, which are recorded in financial books but are never recorded in cost books. See example here. These three are the best example. Even in fact one more, this one. Now these all items are called as financial transactions. Financial transaction means they have no bearing on cost. They are never considered in costing, cost sheet. Like all these sundry incomes, interest earned, dividend earned, rent received, all these sundry incomes, and all these pure financial expenses like preliminary expenses written off or any type of past period expenses we write off using 1/5, 1/8, 1/10, or such type of expenses like bad debts. All these expenses are purely financial transactions which are never finding place in costing records. Now, definitely, If these items are either debited or credited to your P&L, the net profit coming in P&L would be different. And these items do not find place in cost. Similarly, there are certain items which will find place only in cost, but not in financial, like we have notional expenses. We discussed this at the very start in my first lecture itself when we were dealing the concept of costing and cost. That in costing and cost sheet or in cost, we consider notional. Notional means which has never happened. Like I am using in my business my own premises. Now, you would be very well remembering this in your accounting in 11th standard, that I cannot pay rent to myself. I cannot pay salary to myself. I cannot pay interest to myself. So even if these transactions are given, rent of premises of proprietor or interest on the capital of proprietor, you never used to consider it in financial books, that is in your trading P&L. So these are those items which do not, never will find place in financial books, but they will always be considered in cost sheet because costing is on different principles. Costing follows different concepts, different logics. So these are the transactions, one financial, which finds books only in, which finds place only in financial records, not in cost sheet records. And other way around, you have some notional items which will find place only in costing and not in financial. Again, if the transactions recorded are different, you will have differences. So broadly, three category of differences will result in difference in the profit or loss in both set. I hope this is clear. Let me go through the chat and see if there are any questions. So Karan is asking, sir, how can we get profit in cost accounts? Why, beta? If you remember cost accounts, in cost P&L also we get profit. If you remember cost sheet, in your cost sheet also you get profit. So at the end, we are comparing our cost with the sales, na Karan? They may be estimated figures, but you are comparing with sales, so you get your figures of profit, right, Karan? Kasak is saying charges on estimated basis, correct, sir? About non-cash expenses like depreciation. See, Kasak, there is no difference of cash or non-cash expenses. In both set of books, we record both expenses. Like you gave example of depreciation. Depreciation finds place in your financial books also, where you debit depreciation in P&L, and depreciation finds place in your cost sheet also, where depreciation, if it is relating to machinery or factory building, it goes to factory overheads. If it is relating to your computer systems and all office assets and office building, it will go to administration overheads. And if the depreciation is relating to delivery van or your sales related assets, sales department related assets, it will go to selling and distribution. So I will not agree to this point completely, Kasak, that the difference is also of cash and non-cash expenses, because they are finding place in both. So it is not about whether the expenses are cash or non-cash. Tambeshwar, you can say so, but this is not the only difference. Not that the financial is on actual basis and costing is on notional basis. See, entire costing is not on notional basis. Notional is one of the items which are very few, like salary to proprietor or interest paid to proprietor capital. These are very few items which are notional, which notional means what? In reality, you are not paying anyone anything. In reality, you are not incurring anything, but still you are assuming it to be your cost. That is why it is a notional cost. Fine, beta? But I really appreciate the level of queries now you all are asking. It shows your interest in the subject also, and also it shows your connection with the subject and the depth which you all are now reaching with this subject. So it is really appreciable. So students, so these are the reasons why both records will have differences. Now, once you are knowing what are the differences, now our next step or the requirement of this chapter is that we solve sums of reconciling these profits. So basically, we have to do reconciliation of profits. This reconciliation will be done in different types of sums. So first sum is very simple. First type of sum is where directly differences are given. You have to simply prepare the reconciliation statement or account. Second is where you have to identify the difference because they have given you transactions in both records. Like they will give you P&L They will give you cost sheet or maybe even some figure of cost sheet you need to calculate, and you have to first calculate or find out transaction in both records. By comparing both records transaction, you have to identify the difference, and after identifying, then you have to do reconciliation. So first type of sum, which is the most common sum, because obviously the weightage that will be allocated to this sum would be 4 to 5 to 6 marks, because it will only require reconciliation from your side. And where the institute wants to give a higher weightage, then it will go to the second type of sum, where you are given transactions of both the records. You have to compare them. You have to yourself identify what are the differences. And then after identifying the difference, you have to do reconciliation. Now, when you are doing reconciliation, the reconciliation can be done in two formats. One is the reconciliation account format, which is something new which we are studying here. This is called as memorandum reconciliation account. And then you have the reconciliation statement format, which you have studied even in BRS, where you prepare a vertical statement, right? So reconciliation statement format, you all know how this statement format works. You have starting point as profit, let us say as per cost records. In that, whatever you feel that these differences have to be added, you will add in the inner column, outer column, the amount will come. Then whatever you feel these differences have to be subtracted, you will show the figures in the inner column, final figure will come in the outer column. And then finally, after adding and subtracting this, what is left is your profit. Now this will be as per financial records. Now see, it is not necessary you always take profit as per cost records as starting point. It can be anything. Like same in case of your BRS, we can take starting point as balance as per cash book and go to passbook, or balance as per passbook and go to cash book. Same thing happens here. So reconciliation statement format, we all know. Now we go to the other format, which is new maybe to you all. That is memorandum reconciliation account. This is also very simple. Though it is something new, it is not at all difficult. It is simple, conceptual, logical. Taking the same example of this reconciliation statement format, you took starting point as profit of cost records, you added certain differences, you subtracted certain differences, you reached profit as per financial records. Now let us say the same thing if it is required by the reconciliation statement format, which is generally required over here. Now please understand, my starting point is a profit. Profit has which opening balance? It has a credit opening balance. So I will write it on the credit side by profit as per cost records. Yeah, costing books, whatever figure is given. Now, whatever I have decided that these differences should be added, I will simply put it on the credit side. By putting it on the credit side, automatically the figures will get added to my profit of costing. Whatever I have decided that these have to be subtracted, I will simply put it those on the debit side of this account. Automatically those figures will get subtracted from the profit of costing because it is put on the debit side of this account. And then at the end, I will get the balance as profit as per financial books or financial records. So see students, this is the reconciliation statement format. So account format. So statement format we all have studied from standard 11 in the form of BRS. And this is the new format, which is not at all difficult, not at all something very out of the box. It is simple logical. Since you are taking or comparing profits, the starting point will be the credit balance, which will be profit as per whatever you are taking as the starting point. Whatever you have decided to be added should be put on the credit side. Whatever you have decided to be subtracted should be put on the debit side. And then the balancing figure will be the profit as per the other records. Is this clear to everyone? The format part? Okay, good. So you all may not even write yes. You can simply say Y. You can type Y, you can type N. ठीक है ना? Now we are in the most fastest age where test match has got converted to T20, which will very soon get converted to T10 or maybe even smaller formats. We already have smaller formats of 4 over 5 overs also. Similarly, things are getting shorter. So maybe our chat can also be quicker and shorter. Fine. Now, once we have understood this, let me take you to both type of sums. First is we'll solve those sums where we will understand how to do reconciliation. And then we'll solve those sums also where we have to first identify the difference and then reconciliation anyways would be same. So let me start with first type of sum. Now, mainly in any reconciliation chapter, be it your BRS or be it this reconciliation or any other chapter, the only question which as a student you all have is always, sir, add kise karna hai, subtract kise karna hai. So everybody always asks this, sir, how to decide what should be added, what should be subtracted, right? Now, I have my own approach for this. I'll explain you that approach. If you all are able to understand this approach and if that is very clear to you, let me tell you, you can go to any subject of reconciliation. I'm using the word subject because reconciliation is there in everything. You have it in GST, you have it in accounts, you have it in costing, you have it in tax. Every subject requires reconciliation because reconciliation is a concept of comparing, matching, finding out differences. Now, this concept or the approach which I'm going to tell you now will help you in all these subjects. Whatever is the subject, wherever you want to do reconciliation, follow this approach. Now, what is my approach? Pay attention. It is this approach. One of my hand represents, let us say, profit as per cost sheet. The other hand represents profit as per financial books. That is P&L, you can say. So profit as per cost sheet, profit as per financial books. Fine. Now, whenever any difference is given, I have to see what is the impact of that difference on my profits. For example, I'll give you an example. Let us say one of the difference given is that bad debts are charged, bad debts are incurred, or bad debts has happened. Now we all know bad debts is a loss, and we also know that bad debts is such an item which finds place only in my financial books, not in my costing books. So costing books do not have this. We have the entry only in my financial books. Now you tell me, if bad debts are given in the question as incurred, as suffered, what will happen to my financial profit? Whether it will increase or whether it will decrease. So just you can put your answer as I for increase, D for decrease. So what happens to my financial profit? Super. So everybody is correct. Now pay attention. Because of this item which is given in the sum, the impact of this item is that my financial profit will be down. Correct? So I get this level. My costing profit is above, my financial profit is down because of this item of bad debts suffered. Now reconciliation, add or less, is simple. How it is simple? Now I know because of this item, cost profit is more, financial profit is less. Now simply see what is the starting point given in the sum. If the starting point given is profit of costing, so you are standing above. To match with this, you have to come down. So I will say less. So if my starting point is profit of costing books, I will subtract so that I can match with this. I have to come down, right? Other way around, if in the same sum, my starting point is profit of financial books, so I'm standing below, I have to climb up to match with this. So what I will do for the same adjustment, I will say add. So depending upon what is the starting point, either costing or financial, if it is costing, I have to come down. So I will say less. If it is financial, I have to climb up. I will say add. Right, students? Great. Now I'll give you another example. Let us say other difference given in your question is, the other difference is factoring factory overheads under absorbed rupees 32,000. Now, this is the most common adjustment you will find in this chapter. Some expenses under absorbed, some expenses over absorbed, right? So let us say they have given factory overheads under absorbed 32,000 and another is selling and administration overheads over absorbed rupees 19,200. Now for these two differences, now these are the differences given, we have to do reconciliation. Now what I'm going to do in reconciliation, for this, again, the approach is the same. But before I go to the approach, before I tell you add or less, which now you will be able to do yourself, my first point is understand what does this under absorbed or over absorbed means. Please remember students that the concept of absorption you have studied for the first time in costing only. So you can use the word absorbed, you can use the word charged, right? These are the parallel words which are used. So either it is called as expenses absorbed in costing or it is called as expenses charged in costing. So in simple words, in your accounting words, whatever expenses we are debiting in costing to the products, that is what we are charging to the products, that is what is absorbed in the products. So when I say expenses absorbed or charged, it means those are the expenses which we have added to the cost of a product. In your accounting sense, it is the expenses which is debited to the product. Now, when I say under absorbed, means what? That item is less. Where it is less? It is less in cost sheet because absorption happens only in cost sheet. I repeat, whenever the adjustment is like this, the adjustment which is there in front of you, factory overheads, and in my example, it is under absorbed. So whenever the adjustment says under absorbed for any expense, under absorbed, under means less. So it means that expenses are charged less. Charged less means in costing records, you have taken that expense less. Less as compared to what? As compared to financial. Now, if you have understood this, then comes the main point. What is the main point? In your costing books, I repeat, in your costing books, the expense is taken less. Correct? In your financial books, the expense is taken more. Because when we say under absorbed, undercharged, in that particular case, undercharged, under absorbed, all these charging or absorption happens in costing only. And it is an expense. Now, when I say under absorbed, it means costing has charged less. Or in other words, financial has taken more. Now, my point is, if it is given that these expenses are charged less, that is factory overheads are charged less, where they are charged less, that you need to remember. It is charged less in costing books because charging happens only in costing books. Now, this expenditure is less in costing books and more in financial books. So what will happen to my cost profit? If the question says that factory overheads or any expense are charged less, that is, it is under absorbed, what will happen to costing profit? Will it increase or decrease? Just you can write I or D. So if overheads are under absorbed, what will happen to my costing profit? This is my question. What will happen to my costing profit? Whether costing profit will increase or decrease? The answer is, as many of you all have correctly pointed out, it is increase. Why it is increase? Because we are talking about expenses. Under absorbed is the expense. It means the expense is less. This is what I just explained. Under absorbed means that amount is considered less. Where it is considered less, absorption happens in costing. It means that expense is taken at a lower figure in costing. So if some expense, any expense is debited less, then obviously the profit would be more. So for any expense under absorbed, your position would be like this. Financial profit would be less, cost profit would be more. Why cost profit is more? Because the expenses are less in costing. Under absorption means it is under charge, it is less charge. So if amount is less debited, we all can understand the net profit will be more. So because of under absorption, always the costing profit would be higher, financial profit would be lower. Now, once this is done, again, it is simple. You have to see what is the charging starting point of the reconciliation. If the starting point is costing, you have to climb down. So it will be less. If the starting point is financial, you have to climb up. It will be add. The same thing you can check for the other side. That is any expenses which are over absorbed. When you say expenses over absorbed, it means that expenses are more. Over means more. So it is more. The expense is taken more. Where it is taken more? It is taken more in cost sheet. As we have seen, cost sheet is only having the figures of charging. Now, when I say over absorbed, it means those expenses are more. Where more? In costing. Now, if these expenses are more in costing, what will happen to costing profit? Whether costing profit will decrease or increase. Super. Very good. Since the expenses are more in costing, the costing profit will decrease. It means now my position will be like this. So whenever expenses are given as over absorbed, any expense, the effect of that will be always this. Costing profit would be less, financial profit would be more. Because of more expenses in costing, the costing profit has reduced. Now, in this case, how reconciliation will happen? If your starting point given is costing, you have to climb upwards, you'll add. If the starting point given is financial, you have to climb downwards, it will be less. And then the third difference is the difference because of valuation. Now, this is going to be interesting. What the question will say? Opening stock of WIP overvalued. Opening stock of WIP overvalued in cost records. Now, please understand. Two things you have to focus on first, whether it is opening stock or closing stock, and whether it is overvalued or undervalued. Now, they have said opening stock. Fine. Whether it is WIP, finished goods, raw material makes no difference to us. So that is not important for me which stock it is. So it is opening stock. Second, it is overvalued. Now, again, please understand it in simple. Opening stock is a debit item in trading P&L. We all know. And if debit is more, you all know what happens to profit. So in this example, if opening stock is overvalued, means it is more. Where it is more? It is more in cost records. So again, in cost records, the value of opening WIP is more as compared to obviously financial. Now the same question, if in cost records, any opening WIP is overvalued, any opening stock is overvalued, whether of raw material, WIP, FG, what will happen to cost profit? Whether it will reduce or increase. So decrease or increase. Super. Excellent. So whenever any, no beta, MA, what is your name? Mahalakshmi, sorry, you're not correct. See, it is a debit item. Please understand this. And I'm using the word debit credit for you all to understand it simpler. Any opening balance, opening stock is always debited in cost in your P&L account. So if opening stock is higher, valued more means it is more. If opening is more, then by default, the net profit will come down. So if opening stock is overvalued in cost records, the costing profit has to be lower. And then if the starting point is cost, you have to go upwards, you have to add. If the starting point is financial, you have to come down, you have to subtract. And converse will be the case if it is the case of closing stock. Right? Great. I'll take your queries. Srini Singh, sir, we have finished goods as opening stock. Then why we are considering WIP? Srini, beta, I think you have forgotten manufacturing account. We also have manufacturing account whenever we are preparing financial books. In manufacturing account, you take raw material consumed, so you get the raw material stock over there. Plus you take opening closing WIP, so you get the WIP stock over there. So you cannot say that we never consider opening WIP, Srini. Correct, na? Bhavna says decrease profit when opening stock overvalued. Yes, perfect, Bhavna. Right? Now, students, if you all have understood this, let me take you to the questions. Fine. Let me first clear the mess. So I hope you all have understood. I'm not rubbing the what I've written above because that is the conceptual part. Now, this is the question. What does the question says? Following data, you have to prepare reconciliation statement. I will say no, we will prepare reconciliation account. Fine. So in maybe exam, they may have asked statement. We all are used to preparing statements. So I'm not going by the statement format. We'll go by the account format. Now, they have given you profit as per cost accounts also, and maybe profit as per financial also. No, profit as per financial is not given. So you are given only profit as per cost accounts. So by default, this is the starting. If both profits are given as per financial also and cost also, like in many reconciliation sums, you were given both the balances, then it is always your choice what you want to be the starting point, right? Now, okay, in the question, they have already mentioned that you have to prepare reconciliation account and showing the profit of cost as the starting point. Okay, best. Anyways, we don't have a choice. Now, I give you 5 minutes. You have to read each of these. These are all the differences. They have already identified the difference. So we are in the first category of question where the differences are given. You have to only do the reconciliation. I give you 5 minutes. You do the reconciliation yourself. So what you have to do, you have to identify for each of these items whether it will be add or less, correct? For each of these items, identify add or less. And then maybe you can even prepare the reconciliation statement. Chalo, I give you all 5 minutes. Chalo, let us discuss. So first we decide addless. Okay, let me also start with the accounting. So 145, 500 is the starting point. So we start from here. 145, 500, right? Now, work overheads are under recovered. So if the expense are under, it means the expense has been posted or debited less in cost sheet. And if anything is less in cost sheet, now we know the cost sheet profit would be higher. Now, since the costing profit is higher and my starting point is costing profit, I have to reduce it. So wherever I have under absorbed, it will be less. And conversely, wherever I have over absorbed, it will be added. So you need not again check the same thing again and again in exams. You know, once you get answer for under, all under would be same, all over would be the opposite. Now, bad debts. It is a financial expense. Now, if that amount is a financial expense, it finds place only in financial books. And since it is expense, it reduces my financial profit. Now, my starting point is cost profit. So I have to come down again any financial expense. Now, see, I'm putting it parallelly. So both financial expense, preliminary expenses also financial expense not finding place in cost, bad debts also. And conversely, the financial incomes, which finds place only in financial books. So let me also explain that if there is any income which is finding place only in financial books, so because of those incomes, financial profit would be more. We are standing on costing profit, we have to climb upwards, so add. So this is how I get add and how I get less. Now coming to stock valuations, overvaluation of opening. Now, if opening is overvalued, opening is a debit item. And if debit is more, the profit is less. Where? In costing. So in costing, because the opening stock is overvalued, it is more, the costing profit will be less. Now, since I'm standing at costing profit, I have to add. So this item I will add. Now, again, there is overvaluation. Now it is of closing. Now, if something is closing, it is a credit item. And if credit is more, we all know that the profit will be higher. So profit is higher for higher credit items. Now I am standing on costing profit. I have to come down, so it will be less. Now, while preparing reconciliation, whatever I have shown as add, I will put on the credit side. So first add is selling overheads over recovered. So I will write by selling overheads over recovered. Further, what is add? It is overvaluation of opening stock. So opening stock overvalued. Then you have interest earned, rent received. Interest earned, all this is by because we are making entries in accounts. Interest earned, rent received, right? Then whatever you have shown as less, we will put it on the debit side. So what all things are less? Works overheads under absorbed, administration overheads under absorbed. So work overheads under absorbed or recovered. Administration overheads under absorbed or under recovered. See, you can use both these terminologies, whatever is given in the question. Then overvaluation of closing stock. So closing stock overvalue. All this you'll write as 2. Again, what is to be subtracted? Preliminary and bad debts. So 2 bad debts written off, 2 preliminary expenses written off. And then finally you get your profit as per which records? Profit as per financial records. Yes, Bhavna, you're right. Recovered, charged, absorbed. These are 3 parallel words used, right? So what is the final answer, students, with this add and less? Because I have 2, 3 answers on the screen. One answer I am having on the screen, posted by few students is 1,44,000. Another answer is 169,500. So there are multiple answers. So which is correct? 144 is correct. Okay. So the final answer is profit as per financial books will be 1,44,000. Okay. Everybody understood? Thank you, Beta Pranav. I hope it is clear to everyone, students. Pranav, these methods I have crafted over a period of long time. It is tried and tested over many number of students from different age groups, from different categories, with maths background, without maths background. So that is how I have some refined methods which helps. Okay. Now let me take you all students to the second type of question where you have to identify the difference yourself. Now in this type of question, something like this would be given. Now, as I said, there are two types of sum. One sum we already did where differences were given. You have to simply decide ideas. Now, this is the second type of sum where you have to compare the records. Like in front of you, you are given the trading P&L. So this is the financial record. So you can see all the financial transactions. And for costing, they have given you some values in costing. So like in cost accounts, what is the value of closing stock they have given? Then work expenses, that is factory overheads, have to be charged at this amount, which we can calculate. Again, selling administration overheads, at what amount they want to charge, we can calculate. Again, depreciation cost accounts, they have given. Now, so in this case, we are on the second type of question where we have to compare the profits and we have to identify what is to be done of what. Right, students? Now pay attention. Firstly, I'll find out all the values like work overheads are 100% of direct wages. How much is direct wages? It is 1,05,000. So in costing, this would have been charged at rupees 1,05,000, right? Then what about selling overheads? For selling overheads, they have said it is 10% of sales. So how much is sales? Sales is 7,50,000. So this would be 75,000 rupees. What would be administration overheads in cost sheet? It is 1 per unit. 1 per unit means units is 50,000. See, there is no other unit given of opening, closing, etc. So we directly have the sale unit. So we are assuming here the selling overheads or the administration overheads is on sales. That is, it is the general selling overheads, as also can be seen that both are given together. So it is 1 per unit sold. So it is 50,000 rupees. So we have now all the figures of cost. Now we will go to comparison. We will ourselves identify the difference and we will reconcile. Now here you have both the profits. You have the financial profit also. They have also given you the cost profit. You can decide the starting point. Now for a change, I will take the starting point as financial profit, right? So we will decide all our add less, assuming that my starting point is my financial profit, that is profit as per profit and loss account. Fine, students. Now, this is how you will solve this type of sum, starting with each of the figures. Now, when we come to purchases, first item, purchases, there is no different figure given for costing. It means it is same in both books. So purchases in financial books and cost books is same. Then comes to closing stock. Now, closing stock here is 40,800, whereas here the closing stock is 42,800. Now, as we can see, 4,800, 42,800. So there is a difference of 2,000. You can call this difference as closing stock overvalued in cost records. So this 2,000 closing stock is overvalued in my cost records. Conversely, you could have written 2,000 closing stock undervalued in financial records. So what terminology you have to use, that is purely your choice. Now, this is the first item of difference. What we need to do, add or less, that we have to decide. Now, this is a closing stock. So it is a credit item and it is overvalued in cost records. So if it is in cost records, it means my cost profit is higher. And if my cost profit is higher, now I have to check what is the starting point in this sum. In this sum, I have taken the starting point as financial profit. So first you understood this. because it is a credit item, and it is overvalued in cost. So my cost profit will be higher. And then since my starting point is financial, I have to climb upwards. So my first adjustment would be that this item I will add. So I'm just marking it here so that when you start preparing the statement or the reconciliation account, you have to simply pick up this item and put it over there, right? So see, now what we are doing, we are comparing both the records. We are ourselves identifying the difference. And on the basis of the difference, we are ourselves going to do the reconciliation. So this is the added step in this type of questions. Now work expenses, how much is there in financial? 121,300. And work expenses, how much it is in cost? We have found out it is 1,05,000. Now after comparing both this 121,300 and 1,05,000, we get to know that work expenses are under absorbed. So as you can see, work expenses under absorbed. Why? Because it is less in costing. How much? By what amount it is less? 21,300 minus 5,000. So it is less by 16,300. Bhavna, 1 second. I'm unmuting you, but let me just complete. Then you ask your query. So in this particular case, work expenses are under absorbed. Now again, same thing. Under absorbed means the expenses are less in costing. And if expenses are less in costing, we always understand that the profit of costing would be higher. So because of this adjustment, my cost profit is higher because the expenses are less in costing. My starting point is financial in this sum. So again, what I will do, I will add. So I'll put add mark here, right? Yes, Bhavna. Now you can ask your query.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर।
Good morning, beta.
सर ये जो क्लोजिंग स्टॉक है इससे तो प्रॉफिट हमारा कॉस्टिंग का इंक्रीज हो जाएगा ना?
क्यों बेटा,
ओवर
कॉस्टिंग में ओवर ज्यादा है या कम है?
सर ओवर वैल्यूड है तो ज्यादा
परफेक्ट,
है।
तो कॉस्टिंग का प्रॉफिट बढ़ गया मेरा। यू आर राइट। अब आगे बोलो
तो सर ये ऐड क्यों किया है फिर?
बेटा। आपका कॉस्टिंग प्रॉफिट ज्यादा है, ये समझ में आ रहा है आपको?
यस सर।
अब आपका इस सब में स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट कौन सा प्रॉफिट है, कॉस्टिंग या फाइनेंशियल? हम रिकंसिलेशन में स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट क्या ले रहे हैं इस सब में?
सर इसमें प्रॉफिट तो उसका है ना, कॉस्टिंग का।
बेटा मेरे सवाल को सुनिए आप। आपके पास दोनों प्रॉफिट्स है ना सब में। ये कौन सा प्रॉफिट है, फाइनेंशियल?
वाला
ये
तो
कौन सा
फाइनेंस।
प्रॉफिट? करेक्ट ना? तो हम
यस सर।
फाइनेंशियल प्रॉफिट स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट ले रहे हैं, तो फाइनेंशियल तो नीचे है ना।
ओके
कॉस्टिंग से
सर।
मैच करने के लिए आपको ऊपर जाना पड़ेगा ना।
ठीक है सर।
ठीक है,
यस सर।
गुड। Anybody else has any questions or doubts? Now, I go to the second item, selling expense. In financial, it is 71. In cost, selling expenses is 75. So, हमें क्या पता चला? Over absorbed. Selling expenses are over absorbed by rupees 4,000. Why over absorbed? Because it is more in cost. Now, simple. If expenses are more in cost, the profit of cost will reduce. Now, what is my starting point in this sum? My starting point in this sum is financial. क्योंकि financial starting point है, which I am standing up. I have to climb down. मैं क्या करूँगा? Less. So this I will less. Next item is administration. It is 53,400 here and it is 50,000 here. So again, what is the adjustment? I will say administration overheads under absorb. By what amount? 3,400. And we know that now for under absorb, what you have to do? You have to add. Depreciation यहाँ पे 11,000 है. And here in cost books, they have given depreciation is 8. So same adjustment, depreciation under absorb. By what amount? By 3,000. Again, what is the adjustment for under absorb? It is added here because our starting point is financial profit. Now, sales, it will not change in both books. So nothing to be done for sales, it is same. Now again, these two items, discount received and profit on sale of land. Again, these two are pure financial items. They do not find any place in cost records. Now what will happen? Because of these two items, these are two revenue items or income items. They are finding place only in financial books. Because of this, my financial profit is higher. Now, since my financial profit is higher because of this, and I am standing in this sum at financial profit. My starting point is financial, which is higher. I have to climb downwards. So what I will do is I will subtract. Students, I hope this is very, very, very clear to everyone. I hope the concept of reconciliation and the format of reconciliation, and most important, when to add, when to less, I hope that is clear to all. Because now if it is clear, we'll switch to the other topic. So Preeti has said yes, clear. Manvi saying opposite treatment from cost. Obviously, beta. So if you take cost as a starting point, that if treatment will be exactly opposite. Same like what we were doing, Manvi, in case of bank reconciliation. Kasak, what do you want me to explain in depreciation? See, what is given as far as depreciation is concerned, Kasak. See, depreciation given in your financial books is like is 11,000, and depreciation that you have charged in costing books is 8,000. So it means you have charged less. So what I have written, it is under absorbed 3,000. Now if expenses are under absorbed in cost, so if there is under absorption means expenses are less in cost, so profit in cost would be higher. And your starting point in this sum is financial. So what you will do? Add. Kasak. I hope I'm clear. Yes, beta. If in the sum you're right, Preeti, if in the question they have not given you what should be the starting point, you can take the starting point as per your choice. Nitin beta, you said आपका 8 sum में आंसर अलग आ रहा है. Please take the screenshot and recheck. Add less क्योंकि बाकी सब ने 144 ही confirm किया है in 8 sum. So I believe it is 1,44,000 only in 8 sum. Yes, Nitin. Am I clear? Have you all understood this? Great. Can we go to the next topic for the day? Yes. Okay. Chalo, I'll do one thing. Let us take a 2 to 3 minutes break because I took a break in between, but at that time you all were solving. So I give you 2 to 3 minutes break and we will restart in 2 to 3 minutes. Chalo, fast break. Fine, students. Now, we have to discuss two small concepts today. One is the job costing, one is the batch costing. Now, what are these topics, job and batch? There is some question. Hardik, yes, you all should do, definitely. You all try the challenger question. We'll discuss that. Let me first complete this. If I get time today itself, I'll give you some inputs on that, or else maybe you can try. Now, job costing, batch costing. Okay, Bhavna has some doubt. Yes, beta, go ahead, Bhavna.
सर मेरा उस क्वेश्चन में एक और डाउट है कि हमारा मतलब फाइनेंशियल प्रॉफिट का जो बैलेंस है उसमें एडजस्टमेंट करने के बाद उसका जो बैलेंस है वो कॉस्ट प्रॉफिट के बराबर आना चाहिए था ना सर, बट
Obviously,
वो आ नहीं रहा है.
I don't think this should have happened. It should not have happened, beta. As per my understanding, it should match 100%.
वाई सर?
It should match ना. बेटा आपका बीआरएस के वक्त भी तो हुआ था ना, जो आपको पासबुक और कैश बुक का दिया था वो आप दोनों आपस में मैच होने ही चाहिए ना. नहीं मैच हो रहा है मतलब आपका कोई डिफरेंस आइडेंटिफाई करना रह गया है या आपने जो एडलेस किया वो गलत है.
हाँ जी सर, मैच होना चाहिए ना वो.
तो मैं भी तो वही बोल रहा हूँ, तो मैच हो रहा है ना इधर.
कहाँ हो रहा है सर? मैंने किया नहीं हो रहा है.
चलो देखो, स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट 2,03,000 है, बराबर ना.
यस सर.
बेटा अभी थोड़ा ध्यान से देखना क्योंकि चीजें बहुत बिखरी हुई है इस सम में. मैं ऐड वाले आइटम्स इस तरफ लिखूंगा, लेस वाले इधर लिखूंगा. तो देखो मेरे पास इधर पीएनएल में दो लेस वाले आइटम्स है, तो मैं इधर लिख देता हूँ 2,600, 23,400. ठीक है.
यस सर.
और कुछ पीएनएल में था हमने मार्क किया हुआ एडलेस नहीं. अब नीचे आओ, इधर क्लोजिंग स्टॉक वाला एडजस्टमेंट हमने मार्क किया है ऐड, मैंने इधर लिख दिया. फिर इधर ये वर्क एक्सपेंसेस वाला मैंने मार्क किया है ऐड, 16,300 है ना.
यस सर.
हम्म. फिर यहाँ पे आ जाओ, सेलिंग एक्सपेंसेस वाला मैंने मार्क किया है लेस, 4,000 मैंने इधर लिख दिया. और क्या बचा है, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ओवरहेड्स मैंने मार्क किया है 3,400 ऐड, मैंने इधर लिख दिया. डेप्रिसिएशन मैंने मार्क किया है 3,000 ऐड, मैंने इधर लिख दिया. करो अब आप टोटल. इट
यस
शुड मैच.
सर.
हो गया मैच.
यस सर.
ठीक है ना, आपका कुछ छूट गया बेटा इसका मतलब.
हाँ जी सर.
ओके.
थैंक यू सर.
या नाउ स्टूडेंट्स पे अटेंशन. We have two concepts to be discussed today. As you can see on the screen, one is job costing, the other is units or batch costing. अब सबसे पहले मैं इसके प्रैक्टिकल की बात करता हूँ जो आप ऑलरेडी पढ़ चुके हैं. इसमें जो प्रैक्टिकल है दैट इज द कॉस्ट शीट. So basically you prepare the cost sheet by the format which is luckily discussed today itself when I was answering I think Sai's question. So I explained you the cost sheet format. Now this same format is applicable whenever you are doing costing for job, for batch, for a single output or a unit. So the format for doing costing is same. So cost sheet format तो मुझे आपको explain करने की जरूरत नहीं, that you all already know. What we have to study in this chapter is some technical part. Now what is this technical part? Let me explain. Firstly, what are this job, batch, single, unit costing? These are all called as methods of costing. Now again we discuss all this in the first chapter. Let us try to recollect. What is methods of costing? Different businesses requires different formats for costing. Like when I say different businesses, one is you are dealing in goods, one is you are dealing in services. Within goods, it may be standardized goods or it may be customized goods. Standardized matlab where your design, your quantity, everything is predefined. You manufacture the same type of things like cars, like chips, like your mobile phones. The company, the manufacturer has set its own design, its own parameters, its own specification, and the goods are produced as per those design specifications. And what is customized? Where there is no fixed design of my output. I get the orders from my customers who give me their design, their specification, and I manufacture for them. Now, different methods are used, like for here job costing or contract costing. These two methods are used. For standardized, you have unit costing, you have batch costing, you have single or output costing. So for different types of businesses, different methods have been suggested, and for these different methods you may have different formats. Now luckily for all this, you have the same format, which is the format of cost sheet, which we have already studied. As you all mentioned to me at the start, that you have already studied the cost sheet format, right? Now, when we are talking about this cost sheet format, Sai is asking standard is batch costing. No, beta, I'll tell you. Just give me some time. So, when you are talking about the format of cost sheet, that format is now well known to everybody. But what I want to explain you in this chapter, what the module is also trying to explain you, is what is the difference between these. Now, Sai has also raised one more question. Sir, there is something called as standard costing also. Now, whether standard costing is for cost sheet, answer is wait. Now, we have one concept that is methods, and the other concept is types of cost. Standard, marginal, all these are types of cost, or all these are techniques of costing. These are not methods. Now somebody will ask, sir, then what is the difference between methods and what is the difference between types? The answer is methods refer to the formats and types refers to the nature of cost. Means what? I'll explain. Firstly, standard versus historical, marginal versus absorption. Now you have a choice that when you are doing costing, once you have selected the method, which is not your choice, it is compulsory as per the nature of business, as per the nature of activity, whatever format is suitable, you have to select that format. Now I have selected the cost sheet format, which is suitable for my nature of business. Now I have a choice. When I'm preparing cost sheet, what type of cost I will take. Whether I'll take actual cost once they have been incurred, and that is why they are called as historical, because you know it after they happen. That is like how we know history today. We don't know what is going to happen in future, but we know what has already happened in past. That is why it is called as history, and that is why all the expenses which are recorded after they are incurred, that type is called as historical. And where you are recording the expenses, taking estimates, and these estimates are prepared by technical experts. Those estimates are called as standards. So standards are technical estimates prepared by the experts, keeping in mind a particular level of work, level of efficiency. That you will study in detail in standard costing. Now, when you have selected your format, depending upon the nature of business or activity, now you have a choice that in this format, what should be the nature of cost that I should take, or what should be the type of cost, whether it should be historical, that is actual, or estimated. Obviously, we have to take estimated whenever we are doing costing for identifying or fixing my price or estimating my cost. For all these things, we have to take estimates, and then obviously what you are taking in cost sheet would be the standard. But if you remember my first lecture, I had mentioned that you can even do costing after the thing has happened, just for confirmation that whatever I did on estimated, whether it is correct or not. So when you are preparing cost sheet after the things have happened by taking the actual figures, then that type of costing or that type of cost is called as historical cost. So see, the format is fixed because that is dependent on nature. Now you have a choice between the nature of cost or the type of cost. Similarly, when you are considering only variable expenses in your cost sheet, that is, you are only charging the variable cost, then it is the type is called as marginal costing. The nature of cost is variable. Or you can decide to charge all expenses, variable also, fixed also, that is, you will charge all types of cost. Then the type of costing or the technique of costing is called as absorption costing. So again, you have a choice that whether you will go by marginal technique or you will go by absorption technique. So again, this is your choice. Again, it is dependent on for what purpose you are doing costing. So depending upon the purpose, you will decide, you will select one of the options, which may be either of this. I hope I was able to answer your query. So you would have got the difference now. Yes. See, budget costing, Nitin, is nothing but estimate, right? Okay, students. Now, let me proceed further in this chapter or chapters. So our topic today is unit, batch, job. They have not covered contract, but you can say even contract is covered. So what is this now? So let us understand the difference between these methods. So now I am explaining these methods in detail. So firstly, we are talking about goods. Within goods, it may be standardized, it may be customized. Now let us say your goods are standardized like mobile phones or cars, right? Now, these are manufactured in batches. What I mean by batches, we all know that for mobile phones, there are multiple variations, multiple models. Same thing happens with cars. There are multiple variations, multiple models. Now, what any company will do, they will take up first model, prepare 1 lakh units of that. That will become my first batch, batch 1 of model X, which will have 1 lakh units. After the manufacturing of this is done, I will take the other model. Let us say it is my model XX, where I am manufacturing 20,000 units. This is my batch 2. And so batch 3 may be model YX, which I am manufacturing 40,000 units. Now, this is how we manufacture these goods in lot sizes. So lot sizes or batch sizes wise we manufacture. We take each product at a time and we take a quantity which we start manufacturing in one batch. Like how we are conducting lecture in the morning of costing batch with the number of students who have joined. After this, you may have maybe accounts, maybe you may have law. After that, you may have tax. Maybe in the evening, you may have FM. So we are conducting the batches. That is why we call them as batch. That is one thing at a time. So similarly, manufacturing happens in batches where one model is selected and the quantity of that model is produced. After that, the second batch is selected, the second model is selected, a particular quantity or batch size is selected, and you do manufacturing. So when you do manufacturing in a setup of standardized product where you have multiple range of products, generally you have to do manufacturing in batches, and hence we do costing in batches. That is, we will prepare cost sheet for each batch. That is where we call it as the batch cost sheet. And to identify which cost sheet I am preparing today for which product, which batch, over here you write the model number, you may write the batch code if you have assigned some batch code. So see, whenever you buy any of these standardized products from the market, like you buy medicines, on the backside where you have written all the details like the price, the manufacturing date, the expiry date, also you will find this written batch number, batch code. So for all these items that we are buying in our day-to-day life and using, which we call as FMCG products, which includes all types of cosmetics, all types of toiletries, all types of medicines, even these chips and all, you will find this batch number written. Why? Because in all these products, first, they are standardized. And second, you have multiple variety variations. So these products are manufactured in batches. So you prepare a cost sheet for each batch one by one. Then as against batch, the opposite of this is single or unit costing. Now, as the name suggests, in this case also my product is standardized. So I have one single product, I have a standardized product, sorry. And most important, there are no models. I have only one model which I'm manufacturing. Like there was a time Nirma washing powder. That company was manufacturing only one product, that is Nirma. Earlier, Ariel, it was manufacturing only one product, Ariel. You had Lux soap, it was manufacturing only one product, Lux. But over a period, because of competition and then satisfying the requirement of the customers, they started having range of products. So within Lux, we had multiple variety of Lux. Within Ariel, you had multiple or many varieties of Ariel detergent. So initially, these all companies first were manufacturing standardized product, and they had only one model, no variations. Then obviously there will be only one cost sheet for that entire product. So when they are having a single product, no variety, no models, no range of products, then the cost sheet which is prepared for that single product is the single or the unit cost sheet. That is where the unit cost sheet method or the single cost sheet method is used. Vaishnavi is saying, sir, we can say that unit costing is for single units, multiple units manufactured in set at a time is batch costing. Yes, Vaishnavi. Hardik is saying, so from unit they move to batch. See, as your business will change, as I said at the start, Hardik, these methods are selected, that is, these formats are selected on the basis of nature of business, type of products. So once you are changing the nature of business or type of products, your method will also change. And that is fine. As your business progresses, things will change, right? So students, that is what is the difference between unit and batch costing. Again, since both are goods, both are standardized goods, there is no change in the format. The cost sheet format is same. You find direct material, direct labor, direct expense, prime cost. Since you are talking about manufacturing people, you have factory overhead, so you add that, you get works cost. Since you'll have administration costs related to production, you'll get cost of production. And these products have to be sold by incurring selling costs and general administration costs, that is added. So broad format is same for all. What is the difference is only in this. Then as against this comes the second category, which is this, where your products are not having a fixed shape, size, design. That is, you get the blueprint from your customers and you manufacture, you produce as per the requirement of your customers. Then what you are doing is said to be customized. I'll give you a very simple example. Same example of car. Now, car which is made by Honda. Honda is making car. Let us say the most common, most famous example is Honda City. Now, Honda City is one of the models of the car which this company is manufacturing in batches because it has Honda City. It has so many variations in Honda, right? And it also keeps on bringing variations, and it also keeps on bringing levels in the variation. So you have LX model, VX model, now you have the auto model. So within Honda City also you have multiple models. So this becomes a range. Now, when Honda City is manufacturing a car, it is not manufacturing each and every component of the car by itself. So you have many small, ancillary, medium, all these type of industries, as you have studied in your other subjects of commerce, small scale industry, ancillary industry, medium scale industry, right? What these industries are doing, these are manufacturing the small parts or components required in all these big companies. So big companies, the Honda company, it is manufacturing its LX model for the city car, that is a city Honda City car. It is manufacturing the LX model, let us say 1 lakh pieces. Now, while manufacturing this LX model, it requires wiper. Simple example is wiper. Now, this wiper, they will ask a company, Khatu Limited, or maybe it may not be even limited, it may be a proprietary concern. That person is only manufacturing wipers for everyone, because it has the machines which can manufacture wipers. He knows the technique to manufacture wipers. It will get from Honda company for city model, for another model, for another model. Similarly, it will also get from Hyundai company, whatever is the spelling. Then it will also get from the Tata company. Every company will come to this person saying that, okay, fine, you are specialized in manufacturing wipers. Today I'm manufacturing the Honda City model. This is the specification. Give me 1 lakh, or let us say maybe they are buying some extra even for further sale as spare parts, 1,20,000 wipers for the Honda City, which specification they have given to this person. Again, the other Hyundai will come. It will say, this is my model. I want around 80,000 pieces. You manufacture 80,000 for me. So now what this particular person is doing, it is engaged in manufacturing customized. Why? Because it is not having a fixed shape, size, design of its product. Somebody else is giving him orders, what we call as jobs. And as per their orders, as per their specifications, he is completing the job work for them or the job for them. Now, when he has to prepare cost sheet, he has to prepare cost sheet for each of the jobs that it has received, for each job, because each job will have a separate specification, separate quantity. Even next time when again for Honda City is required, the company may decide to come up with a different model or different type of wiper. So they will give me a new specification for the same Honda City. I may have to manufacture a different type of wiper. So I will keep on receiving such orders and I will be manufacturing according to your requirement. So what I'm doing is I am doing job work, or I am taking the job orders, and for each job order or each job work, I will be preparing a cost sheet. In that case, the same cost sheet becomes a job cost sheet. The same format, because when I'm into manufacturing of goods, I will require the same thing: direct material, direct labor, direct expense, factory overheads, admin, same thing for me. Nothing great. One or two expense here and there, something is more, something is less, but the format is more or less same. So this is where my method of costing becomes a job costing method. And the same thing when a work contractor, let us say I'm a works contractor. Now, Maharashtra government has told me that we are setting up lines for metros, and they are giving me a contract to may set up the metro line from Nashik to Mumbai. So they have given me that contract. Again, what is a contract? It is an expanded version of a job where they are giving me the specification that, okay, this is how the metro line should be. These are the specifications. You have to set the line from this place to this place for such long kilometer. You have to do this. So I will be doing the work according to their specification. And for doing costing, again, I will prepare something which is cost sheet only. So that becomes a contract costing method, which is same like job. What is common is in job and contract, both are done as per customer specification. What is the difference? Job is can be done in your factory. It is at a smaller scale as compared to contract. Contract is where generally it is done as the at the customer site. Generally, it is dealing with construction work generally. And since it may require a longer period of time, like setting up this metro line may take 2 to 3 years. So I'm entering into a formal contract, because if it is for a longer period of time, there are chances of dispute. We need to clear things at the start so that in future we do not have any type of dispute, or the work should not get stuck up somewhere. So for the same work, we enter into a formal contract. So they call it as contract costing. It is the extended version of job. Am I clear? Students, have you understood the differences between these various methods? Yes, students. Bhumika, I think second time you didn't get my voice. I hope the problem is not at my end, because I think earlier also once you had mentioned to me that my voice is less. Yes, Bhumika, you had only mentioned last time also. Yes, Hardik, for each client, you have to prepare a separate cost sheet. That is why it is called as job or contract cost sheet. And why you have to prepare separate cost sheet? Because everybody's requirement is different. Their specification is different. The material that I will need for your job may not be the same which I'll require for Nitin's or Kasak's or Bhumika's or Preeti's, because everybody's design requirement is different. So since from my side, the material, labor, or the time, machine time I have to use is different for every job, every contract. That is why I have to prepare cost sheet separately. And see, that is why these names are given. Why have they given these names, job costing, batch costing? It simply means you prepare the cost sheet for that job. So when you are preparing cost sheet for each job, it becomes job costing. When you prepare cost sheet for each contract, it becomes contract costing. When you prepare cost sheet for each batch, it becomes batch costing. So simply the name will suggest how you are going to do costing. So if the name is batch costing, you are doing costing, that is preparing cost sheet for each batch. Yes, Tambeshwari.
Yes, sir. Sir, I can't understand a Khatu Limited example of Viper.
Beta, it is me. I am the person. See, here it was Honda company who is directly preparing the car. Now, I am one of the small industry who is doing one small part in the car, that is Viper. My name is Khatu. You can put any name. So let us say it is Tambeshwari company. So Tambeshwari company is the manufacturer of one small part, that is Viper. And it is manufacturing for all companies, all models. Hyundai also comes, Honda also comes, Tata also comes, Mahindra also comes. So that is the name of the business.
So what is the 80,000, sir?
These are all quantities for which you have received order. So Honda company today came and gave you order for 1,20,000 Vipers. And they gave you a specification, a drawing, what type of Viper they want. Then Hyundai company came for a model and they said, give me 80,000 Vipers for this model. They gave you another design drawing. You made Vipers for them as per their drawing.
Okay,
Okay, na?
sir. Yes,
Understood?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
Hardik.
sir,
Bolo.
my doubt was in relation to like we have seen that the job costing is made for only professional. Sorry, only for manufacturing company. Can we
Yes.
as a professional can make a job costing for each and every client?
See, now I'll explain. You have another category which is service, right? We fall in this category. Now we also have, see, ultimately cost sheet is the only document which will give you total cost. But the difference is that what will appear in goods cost sheet will not appear in service cost sheet. Like in goods cost sheet, your major
Material.
component is material. Your major component may be machine expenses.
Yes, sir.
Whereas in service costing, there is nil material or very negligible material, and the highest cost component is the labor,
Paper.
right? Maybe in some other service sector where more technology and more equipments are used, like in ATM. ATM, if somebody is using the ATM service, the highest content of cost is the overheads, that is the ATM machine cost and the area where the ATM is installed. So in a service sector costing, the major component is overheads. In your goods costing, the major component is material and labor. Are you getting this?
Yes, sir.
So we will prepare cost sheet only. We will prepare cost sheet for each of our clients. So you can say to that extent, it is like a job, but we are not putting it here because in this format of job, batch, unit, which we are discussing, the format is what you have studied till now: direct material, direct labor, direct expense, prime cost. Then factory overheads, administration overheads, selling overheads, and you get the final cost. But this format does not applies to service sector. You will study the service sector costing when you study the chapter in chapter called as operating costing. So operating costing is again going to give you a cost sheet format, which will be for the service sector, where you will not find this. And yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to understand why you'll not find that, because in case of service sector, majorly our expenses are overheads, like as you gave example of our
Yes,
own
sir.
profession.
Okay, sir.
But yes, you can prepare it client wise, that is job wise, but practically when you'll study that chapter, you'll understand that since majority expenses or major expenses overheads, preparing it for each client is difficult, because see, simply enough, if a client has come, how you will tell him ki how much I will charge you for my office rent, how much I will charge you for my
No, sir.
office staff.
Like each and every client has some clients will come for a tax preparation, some client will come from accounts preparation, some will come from any other advice which we have to give. So
Correct.
sir, for each and everything we have to charge a different fee. So for
Yes,
that
you have to
reason,
charge a different fee, but you cannot prepare a different cost sheet. That you'll understand when you'll study operating costing. Why? I just gave you the example. You cannot identify the rent for each client work separately, na? Because the area is common, your staff is
yes.
common, right? Are you
Okay,
getting
sir.
my point?
Yes, sir.
So your point and my point are same, but I'm talking from the costing point. You are talking from the fees point. Fees has to be different because every client's work, the nature of work, the technicality involved, the time involved, the depth involved is different, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, beta.
Thank you, sir.
So students, I hope you all understood the difference between these methods. Now let me take you to some important points from the module relating to this. So let us say here this chapter is unit and batch costing. So what you will study in unit and batch costing is, so they have explained you the type of industries where unit costing is required. So what they are saying, unit costing is that method of costing where the output produced is identical for each unit. It means you have a single output. So when it is identical for each unit, it means they are saying that you have a single output, as I said, right? So how you will find out cost per unit? You'll simply find out total production cost because all units are same divided by number of units produced. Now that is simple. Now what mainly they have explained in both these chapters is how costing is done. So here costing is done by collecting the cost data, and how the cost data is collected, it has to be collected for each unit. That is, you have to do it for each product. Now, how is this collection of cost happen? See, please understand what is the meaning of collection. Collection means when you are passing entries, how do you record that particular cost? Now, this is all logical. If you have understood costing till this point, understanding this is simple. It is a simple theory point. What it says, collection of material cost. Cost of materials issued for production are collected from the material requisition note. Try to recall material chapter. Whenever the material was sent from stores to the production people, how it was sent? The production people used to give us material requisition note. And using that material requisition note, the storekeeper is issuing material to the to the production people. So this material requisition note becomes the basis of identifying how much material is issued for production. So all this is the documentary part. Same again, how do you identify the labor? It is identified from the labor cost records, which again, if you remember in labor chapter, we had discussed this, time cards or labor cards or time sheets or labor sheets. It is again the record which every so every employee's data is maintained in this sheet. If you remember when we were discussing time booking, I had mentioned that you will just give. So in labor, when we were discussing time booking, if you remember, I had given an example that you record what is the start time and the end time for each job or each work that the labor has done. This is how you identify or collect the data relating to labor for each job or each unit. Same as with overheads. In overheads are collected using suitable standard order numbers, and selling and distribution overheads against cost accounting numbers. Please go to the overheads chapter. Over there, if you remember standing orders, what was standing order? Standing order was the ratio in which overheads are distributed, divided between all the departments. So again, overheads data is to be collected by first dividing the expense between all the departments, production, administration, selling, and within production between department A, B, C, X, Y. All that is done using some ratio. That ratio is called as standing order, right? And then finally you find out the overhead charging rate using the base as machine hour, labor hour, or percentage. See, whatever they have given here is nothing but what we have studied in different chapters. So over there, whatever you have done practically, they have repeated here in both these chapters theoretically, because they are trying to explain you that this is how costing happens. But this is what we have practically done in material, labor, and overheads. So what you studied over there, now here they are saying this thing will be done for each unit. This thing will be done for each batch. This will be done for each job. And that is how you'll do costing of each unit or each batch and each job. Now here they have given you treatment of what will happen for spoiled or defective work. Students, if you remember in our earlier chapter also, whenever this particular heading used to come, treatment of, I've always explained that in costing, the general answer for this question of treatment of is that whenever they are talking about treatment of, let us say any type of loss, scrap, or here they have used the word defective or spoiled work. All these are different types of losses. In costing, the broad answer for any type of treatment question is, first you have to identify whether that is normal or abnormal. If abnormal, the treatment is it will go to costing P&L. Maximum what you will check is whether it is controllable or it is uncontrollable. But the answer is it will go to over costing P&L. In normal, you have to identify whether it is of direct or indirect. Like let us say they are talking about material loss or scrap or labor loss or scrap, whatever, not scrap, labor loss like idle time and all. You have to check whether it is of direct or indirect. If it is of direct, okay. If it is of direct, it is charged to product by inflating the rate. Now, how do you inflate the rate? In the numerator, you take total cost. In the denominator, you take units minus normal loss. So automatically per unit rate is inflated. And if it is of indirect material, indirect labor, etc., it is transferred to overheads. See, this is the general answer for all questions wherever they are talking about treatment of any type of these losses. Now, here again, if you see, you'll find the same thing. Loss due to normal reasons, loss due to abnormal reasons. Now, if there is loss due to normal reasons, what they say, when a normal rate of defective has already been established and actual number of defectives is within the normal limit, the cost of rectification or loss will be charged to the entire output. In short, it will be charged to the product. Whereas if it is abnormal, the cost of rectification and loss is treated as abnormal, and the cost of rectification or loss is written off as a loss in your costing P&L account. So you'll find students anywhere in costing, wherever you'll read treatment, it will not go beyond the what I shown in the slide. First you check normal, abnormal, within normal, direct, indirect. That's it, not beyond that. So now they have given you simple cost sheet. We all know the format, so I'm not getting into the format, right? Now batch costing, where this happens, where you have multiple models, multiple product range. So what it says, batch costing is the type of specific order costing where articles are manufactured in predetermined lots or batches. So when you have multiple variations or models, what you do is you prepare one model at a time. So your goods, your articles are prepared in lots. Lots means a size, 1 lakh units, 2 lakh units, which is called as a lot or a batch. And then you do costing of those batch, that is those units. Like for example, here they have given example that you are manufacturing 10,000 pens of the same design. So now you will do costing of that 10,000 pens lot or 10,000 pen batch. So it becomes batch costing. Again, what is the procedure? To facilitate convenience, cost determination, one number is allotted to each batch. That is where you get the batch number, which is printed. As I said, you check the package of any of the products that you're using, you will find a batch code or a batch number. So that even the company, the factory can identify they are talking about which batch. So batch number is allotted to each batch. Material cost for the batch is arrived at on the basis of material requisition. Similarly, labor is arrived at by multiplying the time spent on the batch by the direct as ascertained from the time card or job tickets. And overheads are absorbed using suitable basis like machine or labor hours. So they have repeated the same thing what we studied above. So as I said, whatever is given for unit, the same thing applies for batch, the same thing applies for job. Because costing happens for everything in the same fashion. You have to identify the cost with your job, with your batch, with your product, using the same procedure in material, labor, and overheads. Fine, students. Then comes the concept of EBQ, economic batch quantity. Now, since you all have studied the material chapter, if you remember in material chapter, we have understood the concept of economic order quantity, where we were deciding which is the best order size. That is, if I have to if I have to purchase 1 lakh units in a year, which is my AR, how that 1 lakh should be purchased. That is, every time how much I should purchase from the market every time. So in my each order, how much I should order and buy. So let us say it comes to 5,000 units. That is every time you'll buy 5,000. So how many orders you'll place during the year? You'll place 20 orders. That is 20 times you'll go to the market. Similarly, you have the EBQ. Now let us say throughout the year, I have to manufacture 5 lakh units of my product. So see, this is relating to raw material. This is relating to finished goods. That is your product. Now I have to manufacture 5 lakh units of my product. Again, this is my annual requirement, but here it is annual requirement of production. Here it was annual requirement of purchase. This is relating to raw material. This is relating to final product. Now, as we just discussed, whatever I have to manufacture, I will manufacture in small batches. Because if I manufacture entire 5 lakhs at one time, that is in one batch, I will have to keep them stored for the whole year because market will not take 1 lakh at the same time. They will require at different points of time. So I also decide to manufacture it in small batches. But the question is, what should be the batch size? That is how much I should manufacture in one batch. Like how much I should order or purchase in one time. That was my order size. Similarly, out of 5 lakh finished goods, how much I should manufacture in one batch? That is my batch size. Again here by the same formula, 2 into AR. Over there it was O, that is cost per order. Here it is S, because for every batch the cost that you incur is the setup cost upon C. So the same formula like we were using for EOQ for deciding how much I should purchase in one order. In the similar fashion here in EBQ, you decide what should be my batch size. That is how much I should manufacture in one batch. So the formula is copy paste. It is 2 multiplied by AR. Here AR is annual requirement of your finished goods, not of your raw material. S is the cost per setup. In EOQ, we were using O, which was cost per order. Here you have S, which is cost per batch or cost per setup of a batch, and divided by C, which is carrying cost per unit per annum. So same copy paste concept of EOQ is EBQ. Yes, beta. Hardik, you are right. So here also same concept applies, where the setup cost, annual setup cost matches your annual carrying cost. That becomes the EBQ. That is EBQ formula is also derived from the same concept. Annual setup cost is equal to annual carrying cost. And when you solve this, you get the formula of EBQ, which is same like EO. So if you remember what we discussed for EOQ, students, the same concept copy paste applies for EBQ with only one variation or other two variations. One, here AR is the quantity for product, not for material, and S is the cost per setup of each batch, which was in EOQ cost per order. Here S is cost per setup of each batch. Right, students? So that is the only additional point here. Otherwise, batch costing is completely the cost sheet. And then they have given difference between job and batch. So job is for non-standardized products. That is, every time you get a different type of order, so you have to do manufacturing for each order, each specification. So in job, the specifications are different. The products are non-standardized. In batch, it is your own design. So the products are same. Right? Okay. Then cost is determined for each job. Here cost is determined in aggregate for the batch. Here jobs are different from each other. Here products produced in a batch are same. So within the batch, the products are same, but in different batches, the product may be different if you are making different models in different batches. Yes, Kasak. Carrying cost concept is same as in EOQ, the same as EBQ. Carrying cost represents the cost of carrying, that is storing one unit for the whole year. That is carrying cost per unit per annum. So students, this is what is given in our module relating to this concept of unit and batch. Let me take you to job costing now. Same thing you'll find over here. Now, what is job costing? Job costing is defined by CIMA. CIMA is the mother institute of our subject. CIMA is Cost Institute of Management Accountants, London. So it is the mother institute of this subject of cost and management accounting. So it is defining CMA as the category of basic costing methods, which is applicable where the work consists of separate contracts or jobs or batches, each of which is authorized by specific order or contract. So every time when you receive a new type of order from outsider, you prepare or you manufacture according to their design, according to their format. That is what is called as a job costing, or it may also be called as a contract costing, right? Batch production basically is of the same character as the job order production. The difference mainly is one is the size of different orders. So see, in case of job costing, every time you'll get different order sizes for different products. But in batch, since it is your own product, many times you fix the batch size that okay, like how we are fixing the batch morning always will be costing, then maybe accounting, then maybe. So it is within your hands what to manufacture, when to manufacture. That is where it becomes a batch. In job, whatever order you'll receive for whatever product, whatever quantity you'll manufacture according to them, so that will be job. Now, principles of job costing: analysis and ascertainment cost of each unit of production, control, etc., etc. Now this is common. Now how do you do job costing? What are the steps or process? Prepare a separate cost sheet for each job, disclose cost of material issued to the job, then employee costs incurred on the basis of bill of material and time card. When the job is completed, overheads are charged for ascertaining total cost. Now, how overheads will be charged? Overheads will be charged using the same ORR per machine hour, per labor hour, etc. Suitability of job: when jobs are executed for different customers according to their specification, when no two orders are same, because different customers may give you different orders, even the same customer when repeating may give you something different every time, and where the work in progress differs from period to period on the basis of the number of jobs. Obviously, if the job is different, the WIP has to differ. So these are some special qualities of job costing. Now, how this is done? By preparing a separate job cost sheet or a separate job card. Now see, these are all the formats that are used, the documents that are used in real life in industry, so that you can collect the data relating to that job. Now understand, in case of job costing, what is happening in your factory, multiple jobs are running because different customers have given you orders. Simple example, let us say if I equate it to our CA office, in our CA office, at a given point of time, we are serving multiple clients because multiple clients files are with us. For some, we are doing income tax work. For some, we are doing accounting work. For some, we are doing company law work. For some, we are doing GST. For some, we are doing multiple. So many things are going on at the same time. Now, if I have to do costing of each client work separately, what I do is I'll prepare this job cost sheet. Over there, you can say the client cost sheet. Now, in that, I'll first write some basic details, description, what type of work is there. Maybe if obviously over there they have given me some blueprint number, I'll write the blueprint number. Maybe in our office we can write our file number, then the material number, reference number, all these details of that job are written. Then most important is you have to write down what material you are using, with all references like date, reference is the material requisition note number, detail means the name of material, etc. So you'll write the details of material, then you'll write details of which staff has worked for what number of hours, and then you'll also charge overheads on this basis. So this is how data is gathered for each job separately. You can equate it with our office. So I think Hardik or somebody was asking, sir, how we do it in our office. You can apply the similar logic even for our offices, because our office also the work is like job costing, because we serve each client according to their requirements. So you can prepare similar type of a cost record, maybe with some variation, because in our case material is not significant. Maybe labor and overheads, which are generally the significant part, you can only include that. So see, so we have again the same cost sheet format. Nothing is different. Direct material, direct labor, overheads, production cost, administration, selling, total cost. Now here one will be estimated. That is before you started the work, you quoted using some estimates. Maybe after the work is done, you'll also prepare so that you identify where you made mistakes. So next time, when again you have to prepare estimate, you can correct it. So it may be prepared for both estimated figure and actual figure parallel, right? So these are some common formats which are used in the industry. See, no industry will be using it as it is. They will modify it according to their requirements. Now here again, same thing is repeated what we studied earlier in batch and unit. How to collect material. So material details will be collected on the basis of material requisition note. So whenever material will be sent to a particular job, it will be recorded in the material requisition note. And using that material requisition note, you will identify what material went for which job or what material was consumed on which job. So an essential requirement of job costing is that direct materials and their cost must be traced to and identified with each job separately. Now, how this is done? Where a bill of material is prepared, it provides the basis for preparation of these stores requisitions, right? So again, the same store requisition or material requisition note will be used. The summary of material cost of each job is the summary of material cost of each job is posted to individual job cost sheet or cards in the work in progress ledger. Now, if they are equating it with your cost accounting also, so whatever you are charging to that cost or that particular job, where it is posted in your cost accounts, it is posted in the WIP, because still the production of that particular job is going on, it will appear in my WIP account. So one, in the cost sheet, it will be charged or it will be added in the cost sheet or cost card, and in accounts, it will be debited to your WIP ledger, right? Same thing for labor. So how labor will be done? Again, you will prepare specific job or time sheets, job cards or time cards. In that, you'll record the labor. So for example, in our office, I will ask each of my employee who is working on a particular client, if whenever you are working on that client, just record the time for which you have worked and what type of work you have done. So let us say one particular staff of mine is doing the income tax work. He is doing the income tax audit of that client. He will write that today he spent 4 hours on his income tax audit. Some other staff is doing the GST work. He will say, today I spent 2 hours on preparing the GST summary. So this is how they will prepare the labor records in the form of job time card or time sheets, from where I will get the labor time, how much of each type of labor has done the work on this particular job. In our office, it can be on that particular client, so that we can find out the total labor hours, and accordingly we can charge the labor cost. And then again, overheads, how it is costed, same like what we did in our overheads costing. You will first prepare the overheads register, where using the standing order. Standing order is the ratio. You will divide each expense into production, administration, selling. And then for each overheads, you will find a ORR, and using that ORR, you will charge it to different jobs. Again, here they have covered the same thing, treatment of spoiled and defective work. So while doing work, some of the work may not be as per the standards, so it may become defective, or if it is totally spoiled because of wrong working, so this is your loss. Again, what is the treatment of loss? The answer is same. You find out the normal portion, abnormal portion. Normal portion is absorbed in the product by inflating the price. Abnormal portion is charged to cost P and L. Same thing is repeated here. See, as I said, now certain things will not change in costing, whatever chapter you are studying. So where a percentage of defective is allowed, allowed means it is normal, it will be charged to the whole job by spreading it over the entire output, that is inflating the charging rate. If it is due to bad workmanship, that is, it is not normal, it was not expected, it happened because of your mistake, it becomes abnormal, it will be charged to your costing P&L. See, the answer remains same. That is where the concepts comes. If you understand concept, understanding the further part in the subject is easy. Where the defect is due to inspection department wrongly accepting incoming material. It means the inspection department worked wrongly, they took wrong material. So because of wrong material, wrong output was produced. What will be the treatment? In this case, the cost of acquisition will be charged to the department at fault. If you remember, similar thing we studied in labor also, where because of one department at fault, the other department has to work overtime. The overtime premium of this department is charged to the department at fault. Similarly here, if because of the inspections department fault that they did not check the material correctly, wrong material was taken, and that resulted in wrong output or spoiled work, the charges are debited to that inspection department. So they have to bear it. Now here they have given you the accounting entries. They are nothing but the entries that we studied in our previous lecture in cost accounting. For purchase of material, SLC debit, CLC credit. Then when the materials are charged or sent to the job for production, WIP debit, SLC credit. When they are returned from the jobs, SLC debit, WIP credit. When these materials are returned to the supplier, CLC debit, SLC credit. So we know all these entries. For indirect material, they are transferred from the material account to the production overheads account. So production overheads debit, SLC credit. Fine, students. We have done everything. All these entries are the entries which we studied last time. So the same thing they have repeated. No difference at all because everything is same because we are doing the same subject, right? And then you have simple cost sheet format sums. Then they have given you some advantages, disadvantages of job costing. Advantages, the details of cost of material, labor, overheads for all jobs is available. This is the advantage. Then profitability of each job can be derived because you are preparing cost sheet for each job. It facilitates planning, budgetary control, standard costing can be applied, spoilage defective can be identified. Disadvantages, it is very costly and laborious. Why? Because you may have multiple jobs and for each job, you have to prepare separate job records, maintain separate records, do separate costing, which is very troublesome because you require a lot of accounting staff for doing this, which will increase your cost. A lot of clerical processes involved, hence the chances of errors is more. It is not suitable for inflationary conditions because where the prices are constantly changing, it becomes difficult to estimate the cost correctly. And if you are wrongly estimating the cost, you understand what will happen to your business. Previous records of cost will be meaningless if there are a lot of changes in market conditions. Fine. And again, difference between job, process, etc. So students, both these chapters, practical part you have studied in cost sheet. Whatever cost sheet you have prepared is of job, batch, etc. Here, they have explained the theoretical side of those chapters. Fine, students. So let me know if you have any further questions. Tambeshwar is asking case scenario come in the exams in this chapter. See, basically, beta, it is these cost sheet questions only that you can expect from this chapter in the exams. So the format of cost sheet is same. Only thing is they will say it is for this job. So they will give details according to the job. So you have to prepare cost sheet saying it is a job costing or a batch costing as the case may be. Right, beta? Hardik is saying, sir, in case of indirect material transportation, then CLC ledger and factory debit, na? Yes, beta. Correct. Factory means factory overheads, right? When you are saying factory, Hardik, you mean factory overheads, right? Good. Calculation of holding cost not understood. Bapre, illustration 7. Rinko, which chapter you are talking about? Calculation of holding cost. Batch costing. You are talking about module. Illustration 7 you are saying, na? Is it here? No, it would be here, illustration. Okay. Here she is saying calculation of holding cost is not understood. Okay. See, beta, you have to first read the question carefully. So what it is given, a company has annual demand of a single customer of 50,000 liters of paint. The total demand can be made up of a range of colors to be produced in a continuous production run, after which a setup of the machinery will be required to accommodate the color range. The total output of each color will be stored and then delivered to the customer as a single load immediately, etc. Fine. First paragraph is not important for costing. Now your setup cost is 100 per setup. The service is supplied by an outside company. The holding costs are incurred in a rented space, which costs 50 per square meter per annum. So per square meter of space is costing 50 and each square meter can hold 250 liters. So 50 divided by 250 will give you your carrying cost per liter per annum. So 50 is per square meter per annum, and in 1 square meter you can store 250 liters. So 50 divided by 250 will give you beta your cost per liter, that is per unit of your material which is stored. Now calculate the total cost per year where batches range from this. So this will be done in cost sheet format, and then use the economic batch size formula to calculate the batch size. Now I think what you asked me was about calculation of holding cost. But where is holding cost given? I think if you're asking this point two, I think I just explained it is 50 divided by 250. I think this was the point which you were not understanding, right? Table. Rinku is saying table. Table means you're talking about this table, I think so. But it is easy, na? See, your production size is 4,000 liters, correct? Now, what is our carrying cost formula, beta? Order size upon 2 into carrying cost per unit per annum, correct? What is my carrying cost per unit per annum? If I'm not wrong, it is something 0.2. So 4,000 upon 2 into 0.2, you'll get this cost, beta. You forgot the formula of carrying cost. It is upon 2, na? So your order size here, it is the production size because here we are finding out EBQ. So EBQ upon 2 or the batch size upon 2 into carrying cost per unit per annum. You'll get this answer. Exactly, you'll get this. Right, Rinku? You have to divide by 2. I think you forgot that. That is why you're not getting. I think you're only multiplying the quantity by 0.2. So it was getting doubled. You have to divide it by 2 because our formula, if you recall, Rinku, it is order size upon 2 into carrying cost per unit per annum. Here it will be batch size upon 2 into carrying cost per unit per annum. Right, Rinku? I hope you would have understood now. है ना? Perfect. So students, this is all about job batch unit. I have given you the comprehensive understanding of the concepts and also what are the different theoretical points. So with this, let us close our today's session. Thank you very much for all the inputs and the continuous interaction because that makes the batch more lively for everyone. Also, because of your questions, I am also able to give you more deeper insights because I also start understanding to what extent you all are understanding. So keep asking the questions and keep attending the sessions live. I know majority of students now I've got to know that now they are shifting to recorded lectures because they find it comfortable. But don't go for comfort. No study can be done comfortably. Maybe you have to get up early. Maybe you have to sit and solve along with our faculties. But please do that. The more you are attending live all subjects, all classes, one, it is happening in discipline. You have the habit of sitting daily for 8-10 hours for whatever time our batches are going. Plus, your doubts, whatever you get, will get solved immediately live. Plus, most important, once these classes are over, when you start self-study, now since you have got habituated to sitting for 8-10 hours because of our classes regularly, later on while self-study also, you will have that habit of sitting for long hours. Otherwise, this is a common complaint. So students, I will request that please be present here. Ask your other friends also who have now got into the comfort zone of attending recorded. Please don't switch completely to recorded. Only use recorded for revision and be present live. 90% you have to attend live. This is my humble request. Fine, students. So take care and keep studying. I really enjoy taking the batches because the way you ask the questions, the type of questions that you are asked is really super. Fine. So that's it. Closing from my side. Tada. Take care. Thank you, Veda. Yes, sir. You may close. Thank you all. Thank you, technical team.